Okay, picture this. An American tourist in the UK confidently explaining British culture and immediately saying something that makes every Brit in the room quietly cringe. You know the type. The ones who say things like, "So, you guys drive on the left because it's cooler," or "Why do you even have a queen? Isn't that, like, backwards?" Yeah, this video is about those moments. And trust me, it gets wild. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. Americans visiting the UK often mean well. They're polite, curious, and genuinely excited to experience everything from the red double-decker buses to fish and chips. But somewhere between Big Ben selfies and trying to order a pint, things go hilariously wrong. Because explaining the UK to a Brit? That's a minefield. A cultural minefield. Take British slang, for instance. A Brit might say, "I need to pop to the loo." Simple enough, right? But an American in the group immediately goes, "Wait, you're talking about a popping loo?" Like, it explodes. And then there's the classic, "I reckon it's going to rain later." And the American says, "Wait, you're reckoning the weather? Do you have, like, a magic crystal ball?" Oh, the horror. Every Brit silently questioning their life choices. And don't get me started on geography. Americans often lump the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland into one big Britland. One tourist once said, "So, is England the same as the UK?" And the Brit just blinked and went, "Yes, but no, it's complicated." Think of it like very confusing Monopoly rules. And then they tried explaining the difference between the UK, Great Britain, and England, and half the Americans were already Googling it on their phones while nodding like they understood. Then there's history. Americans love history, especially British history, but they often make interesting interpretations. One proudly declared, "So the UK fought in the Revolutionary War? That's why you guys lost, right?" The Brit, sipping their tea, just stared. "Yes, and we also lost a lot of things, but that's a different conversation." And suddenly, explaining why tea is a national obsession turns into a 20-minute lecture about politics, colonization, and subtle cultural pride, all while the American says, "Oh, we just love your castles and stuff." Now, before we continue, if you've ever cringed at Americans trying to explain the UK, or if you are an American trying to explain it, hit that like button. Trust me, you're not alone. And comment below with the funniest American tries to explain the UK story you've witnessed. I'll read the best ones at the end of the video. And oh, the food. British food is an acquired taste. Americans trying to explain it? Comedy gold. So, you eat beans on toast for breakfast? That's nutritious. And when they find out black pudding isn't chocolate pudding, there's this moment of panic. The Brit just shrugs. It's a blood sausage. Don't think about it too much. Americans never stop thinking about it. Ever. Pubs are another hotspot. A Brit casually says, "Fancy a pint?" And the American responds, "Wait, you drink in the daytime? Isn't that illegal?" And the conversation spirals from there. They start questioning everything. The difference between a lager and a bitter, why people queue politely at the bar, or why there's no happy hour every day. The Brit is just watching like, please, someone explain to them that this is just normal life. Then, football. Not American football, real football. One American said, "So, is soccer the same as football?" And the Brit replied, "Depends if you want to cry in public or privately." They try explaining offside rules, penalties, and why the World Cup final is basically a national holiday, and Americans start nodding like they understand, but secretly they don't. And every Brit quietly revels in the confusion. Accents are another battlefield. Americans hear a thick Scottish accent, and suddenly it's like they're listening to an alien language. Wait, what did he just say? Did he say lock or lock? Why are there so many vowels? And the Brit, still perfectly understanding every word, just smiles politely. And then the American tries to mimic it, and it sounds, well, let's just say it's comedy gold, trust me. And it gets even worse when Americans try to explain UK politics. So Boris Johnson is the president? No, he's the prime minister. But isn't the Queen in charge? Cue a 10-minute explanation of constitutional monarchy versus parliamentary democracy. And the American leaves more confused than when they started. Then there's the royal obsession. Americans assume the Queen personally rules everything. One American actually asked, "So, can she fire people if she wants?" The Brit, barely containing laughter, said, "No, and thank God for that." And of course, cultural references fail spectacularly. Americans assume Brits all drink tea all day, watch only Downton Abbey, and understand Shakespeare fluently. When they don't, Americans panic. Wait, you don't know this? It's adorable and hilarious at the same time. The real kicker? Americans always mean well. They love the culture, want to connect, and genuinely try. But sometimes, the harder they try, the funnier they sound. And every Brit secretly enjoys it. Because nothing says cultural exchange like a polite cringe. So, if you've laughed even once at these moments, give this video a like, share your own story in the comments, and subscribe for more hilarious cultural disasters. And next time an American tries explaining the UK, just sit back, grab some tea, and enjoy the show. Trust me, it never gets old. All right, you thought it couldn't get any worse? Oh no, part 2 is when Americans really start overthinking the UK. This is where polite confusion turns into full-blown chaos. So imagine this, an American trying to explain the tube. So it's like a subway, but it goes everywhere? And a Brit says, yes, but try not to get lost. The American responds, wait, so there's no GPS? How does anyone survive? Meanwhile, locals are silently thinking, mate, it's just a train, not the Da Vinci Code. Then there's the weather. Brits casually say, looks like rain today. The American panics, rain? Every day? Isn't it supposed to be sunny? I thought London was all Big Ben and sunshine. And the Brit, barely hiding a grin, says, welcome to our climate. Get used to it. The American now has a 10-slide mental weather forecast printed in their head. Completely unnecessary. Ah, tea. You think it's simple. One American confidently says, so you just pour hot water over a bag and then what? And a Brit answers, milk, sugar, maybe a biscuit. The American freezes. Wait, you mean you add milk to the tea? That's allowed. Yes. Yes, it's allowed. And yes, it's how we've done it for centuries. And football? Oh boy. An American tries again. So, they kick the ball and try to score, but what's offside? The Brit sighs. You know what? Just watch the game. You'll get it eventually. The American is frantically making diagrams with napkins, while the Brit quietly sips their pint. Comedy gold. And of course, idioms. Brits casually say, it's not my cup of tea. And the American goes, wait, you're literally talking about tea? Is this an insult or a beverage? The Brit just shakes their head. Figurative, mate. Figurative. Americans never recover from this revelation. They spend the next hour mentally checking every British phrase like it's a secret code. By the end of the day, Americans are exhausted, Brits are entertained, and everyone has learned one thing. Explaining the UK to Americans is a journey, and it's never ever simple. So, if you laughed at part 2, smash that like button, share your own cringeworthy moments in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more hilarious cultural chaos. And remember, next time an American tries explaining the UK, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.